Utah and USC. Now, USC is favored by 3 in this game on the opening line, over under of 67. Do you think that Utah can beat USC twice in one season and play spoiler to the Trojans' college football playoff hopes?
I think they can, certainly. They've already done so once. If you look at it, USC outplayed Notre Dame in terms of explosive plays, and Caleb Williams is just amazing, and he keeps getting better and better. USC at the skill positions, with the exception of Dye, appears to be about as healthy as they have been for most of the year. But also you had some key guys leave that game for USC. Like Gentry doesn't look fully healthy, and Voorhees, one of their starting offensive linemen, left the game. I don't think he came back in, so we don't really know what his status is. There's a very narrow way in which Utah can win this game, and it probably looks exactly like it did up in Salt Lake, right? It's blitz a ton, get a lot of pressure. Maybe Caleb doesn't make the miracle plays. Utah does have better cover guys than Notre Dame showed on Saturday. I'm not saying Notre Dame starters are bad. Don't come at me, Notre Dame fans. What I'm saying is the guys you had out mattered, and you ended up with true freshmen on Jordan Addison and Mario Williams too often, and they cooked them. USC can cover, or Utah can cover USC in a way that I think a lot of Pac-12 teams cannot really do. And so this may come down to how balanced can USC be, because Utah's run defense this year has been pretty poor. On the flip side, what Utah did offensively was impressive, but I also wonder how repeatable it is. Do you guys know Dalton Kincaid had 16 catches for 234 yards in that game?
I know that. And I also know that Akron Buffalo is a rescheduled game. I just pulled up the schedule, and I know nobody hit me on that. Come on, guys. Akron's got 2 wins on the season. I just pulled up the schedule, and I was like, oh, yeah, nice. You get things started in the afternoon. It's a rescheduled game. But, yeah, I did know Dalton Kincaid has the MAC championship is Toledo and Ohio. That game will be on Saturday.
I don't know that Utah is great along the lines of scrimmage. Cam Rising's going to need to play a hell of a lot better than he played against Oregon, because he was flat out bad against the Ducks. But there's a slim margin, because I don't think USC is going to bully them along the lines of scrimmage, unlike some teams can.
I mean, you mentioned Kincaid's performance. Let's look at what USC did that game. Caleb Williams threw for 381 yards, ran for 57, threw for 5 touchdowns. Jordan Addison caught 7 passes for 106 yards. Mario Williams caught 4 passes for 145 yards. They did all that. Oh, and Travis Dye rushed for 76 and a touchdown. They did all that, and they lost. Because the one thing that didn't happen in that game, at least not repeatedly, was Utah only turned the ball over once. And we have seen that this defense, when they're forcing turnovers, you can't beat USC because you can't keep up with what they're able to do offensively. They're going to put up a minimum of, save for a couple exceptions, the Oregon State game, whatever. But for a minimum, you can expect that they're going to score at least 35 on you. So you have to be able to outscore them. You can't turn the ball over to do that. So if Utah takes care of the ball, yeah, it can beat USC. I wouldn't be shocked if they did it again. That said, I also feel like these are 2 very different teams than the teams that played in, what was that, October?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I think Utah has I don't think it's bad by any stretch, but I think it's gotten weaker, whereas I feel like USC has gotten stronger. And I feel like right now, Caleb Williams is just kind of on one. I think that even with the loss of Dye, that is an offense that is clicking on all cylinders. I do think that while defensively they have problems, they are getting better, not like markedly where you think, oh, all of a sudden this is a good defense, but I think they're tackling better. I think they're doing a better job of limiting big plays, and then they are coming through with those turnovers when they need them. So going into the rematch, I think I think there's a good shot they're going to get the revenge, but it is not nearly a sure thing. Like you look at the other title games this weekend, it's like TCU and Kansas State's going to be a good game, but I feel like the Big Ten game will be a blowout. The SEC game will be a blowout. This game has a chance to, not only with the stakes it has, to be the quote most interesting, but I think it's also got a chance to be the most exciting and like kind of craziest game come the fourth quarter.
The other part that Utah might not be able to replicate is that they pinned USC with an absurd average starting field position of its own 20. Like that is really, really bad for a college team because obviously kickoffs come out to the 25. So USC had a ton of yards in that game and a lot of open field to play with. Utah in the red zone was a little bit better than they had been, which was helpful defensively. So they're going to have to keep USC pinned back, make USC be consistent. It's hard to beat Caleb Williams right now, man, if you're not a bully up front. Like, I think USC or Michigan and Georgia would look a little bit different against USC because I don't think they would have to blitz as much to affect the line of scrimmage. But man, Caleb is so good. And on the other hand, look, USC has played 2 wars in a row, okay? That game felt like USC was in control, but it was close late. They had to go out and get some first downs and make some plays and get that pick. Utah has known they're going to play USC if they win for a while, and they just played a Colorado team that didn't have its starting quarterback and cruised. So my guess here is that Utah could be a little bit fresher. They haven't played a bunch of really, really tough games in a row. Could be helpful.
I also, for Utah stance, I also worry about Cam Rising in this game because if you look at his numbers on the season, like the USC game was his best performance of the year. He threw for 415 yards, 2 touchdowns. Then he missed the Wazoo game the following week. And in the games against Arizona, Stanford, and Oregon after that, he wasn't very good at all. And like he put up huge numbers last week against Colorado, but Colorado. So I just, if this isn't a situation where Utah's going to have to score points to keep up, I don't know that they can right now.
Final point on that, and Tom is exactly right here. After he got hurt, his mobility has been damaged, and he had 11 designed runs in that game against USC for 60 yards. He did not move well against Oregon at all, and I just wonder if this is something. I'm not a doctor. Is that an injury that's going to require some sort of offseason cleanup? Potentially. Who knows?